Howdy there guys, welcome back to Edgar TV, where I promised you this for a while. We are going to predict the Premier League lineup. Now, at this point of the year, it's pretty impossible to do so. I mean, who would have put Richie Edhouse in this conversation? But now he's won a major, you've kind of got to include him in the shortlist. Mike Decker, who would have included him? And remember, there has never been a winner of a Sky TV major tournament not playing the Premier League, which makes you think Mike Decker is going to be certainly one for the shortlist anyway, and he's got to be in the conversation. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a look at those players that are in the conversation. Now, in the past, people have suggested that the Premier League should be the top 4 players plus the major winners. Now, the major titles have been shared around a little bit more, which makes it a little bit hard to predict. But if that was the case and we purely worked on that criteria, as it stands right now, if the newspaper was to release it, it'd look something like this. Premier League lineup announced. You'd get Luke Littler in there off the back of winning the Premier League last year. You'd have Dimitri Vandenberg in there, UK Open winner. Mike Decker, Grand Prix. Richie Edhouse, European champion. And the 4 players that are in the top 4 at the moment: Rob Cross, Michael Van Gerwen, Michael Smith and Luke Humphries. Now, there's going to be some changes in the top 4 positions. We know Michael Smith's likely to come out of there unless he goes and wins the World Championship. He's looking like he could drop out of the top 16 in the world if he's not careful. Rob Cross looks solid in there, but there's some people sat behind with not a lot to defend and a lot of opportunity at the back end of the year. So when I make my predictions, I'm going to put this down into different categories and then hopefully work out from there what my 8 players are. Please do play along at home as well. Do chuck in your predictions of who you think is going to be in the Premier League down in the comment section. See how much we agree and disagree in regards to who we think is going to be in. But it's always a fun thing to do. Certainly this side of the Grand Slam, the Players' Championship and the Worlds, because the World Championship changes everything. Remember a few years ago people saying Callum Ridds? Remember a few years ago people saying Gabriel Clemens? Certainly off the back of the World Championship. So it's going to change a lot over the next few months. So it'll be interesting to see how close it is at that point. So here are the 100%ers. The 100%ers, the people I think are guaranteed to be in. Michael Van Gerwen, I don't think drops out the top 4. Remember, the top 4 players are guaranteed to be in the Premier League. Luke Humphries is going to be world number 1. He's going to be world number 1. That's for certain. And Luke Littler as the defending champion and the most interesting player in the world of darts, certainly in regards to media attention and general public persona. So they are my 100% sins. So we've got 3 players guaranteed, but that's all I think is guaranteed. These 3 players. I think everybody else is up for battle and up for interpretation. So what I've done, I've separated these even further. We've got a short list, and we've got our 50-50 club. The 50-50 club are people I think are likely to be in, but possibly got something more to do. Rob Cross, currently in the top 4, so that would put him into the Premier League. If Chizzy can get more focus than the photo that I've chose here, he will get in by being in the top 4. He is very, very close at the moment in regards to the world's top 4, defending very little at the back end of the year as well. So he's in a very good position to sort of enhance his place and guarantee it with the top 4 players. I do think that's possibly the way Chizzy gets in. He's in form at the moment, certainly at the back end of the year, so you know, we look at the World Championships, big prize money there. He's defending not a lot. He's got the Slam. He's got the Players' Championship. So 3 big opportunities, plus a couple of Pro Tours. So he can really improve his position. Gerwin Price has come down a little bit. Not going to drop too much further down the rankings, I don't think. However, not in good form at the moment. So I get people may be a little surprised about this inclusion. Certainly as high as I think he will be in regards to getting selection. But it's Gerwin Price. Until Luke Littler was the most Google search for dart player, one of the most recognisable dart players on the planet, and has quality. He's playing good darts, he's just missing key moments. How much is he interested? I don't know. Certainly he's never really shown too much interest, certainly recently in regards to the Premier League, so maybe that's why he's in the 50-50 club. Certainly if the heart was fully in it for Price, I'd have him in my guarantees, that's for sure. Nathan Aspinall as well, always someone who's going to be a rival, certainly while he's sitting inside the world's top 10. So that's my 50-50s, which I think is probably more likelies rather than 50-50s. Shortlist though. you can pick a lot of players. The selectors are going to have a nightmare. In the past, it pretty much pricked itself. Now we've got a nightmare in selection because the shortlist is growing. And this is where I think we're going to get a lot of variables. I don't think we're going to disagree too much on the first two slides. I think the variables are where we're going to get the disagreement here. This is what I see as a shortlist. Mike De Decker, Edhouse and Vandenberg, they've won big titles. They've won TV titles. I think Mike De Decker is probably the more likely because he won the Grand Prix, which was a Sky Sports broadcasted event, and I think that does have a little bit of weight in regards to the selection. Michael Smith, although I said he could drop out of the world's top 16, you've got to have those recognisable faces in there as well. That is very important. Damon Heta, defending hardly anything at the back of the year, inside the world's top 10, a deep running of TV tournaments, certainly the World Championship, which is so heavily weighted, will see him move very close to the top 4. And I think if he does it at the World Championships, I think that's going to get the eyes on him that he needs to get a Premier League selection. Gary Anderson and James Wade, always going to be on the shortlist for any tournament in the world. Just depends, for one, if Gary Anderson wants it, and two, if they can have a bit of a run. But James Wade certainly having the consistent runs, quarterfinals, semi-finals in the big events, that makes him a possible contender for this. And Stephen Bunting, very, very popular figure, playing well. If you can transfer that now onto the big stage at the back end of the year, if he confirms that form onto it, I think he's going to be a contender come the back end of the year. So that's the shortlisted players. Now, that gives me our 50-50s, our guarantees and our shortlists. And from them, I'm going to pick 8 players for which I think is going to be the Premier League. See how close this is to what you think. 2 changes. So I've brought Dimitri Vandenberg out from last year's, and I brought Peter Wright out from last year's, and I've replaced them with Mike De Decker and Dave Chisnell. The other 6 players are as per last year's lineup. Now, I think you could have got a bit more creative than I've done here and took a few more players out, but I also believe that they don't want the Premier League to be too different. You know, you could take Michael Smith out, you could take Gerwyn Price out, but then you're replacing it with 4 complete, and I think that's probably too much change, and I think the lineup needs just a little bit of consistency running through it. I think one thing we do know, we don't know who they're going to be, but the top 4 plus Luke Littler are guaranteed. So the top 4 are guaranteed plus Luke Littler is going to be in it. So there's 3 places available for players outside the top 4. That's also another interesting thing when you consider those shortlisted players. This will change. I will do another one of these, a prediction video at the back end of the World Championship once we've got that information. So again, make sure you subscribe if you want that prediction. We'll react to this. There's going to also be, as always, lots of content. I've been out filming some real good sort of origination content as well, so make sure you are subscribed, because over the next couple of months I've seen people in the comments section say we are well fed here on Edgar TV. If you think that's something, see what's coming up over the festive period. This is your one-stop location for all your darting content. I'll catch you soon for some more Edgar TV.